Hey guys, it's me again. This is our 19th time hanging out. Have you guys ever experienced the absolute nightmare of not being able to find a parking spot? Back when I was commuting to my old job, I struggled with finding parking for 2 whole years. I worked at that company for about 8 years in total. In the beginning, the company's location was actually super convenient for parking. There was a small park right next to our office, the kind where people in the neighborhood would go to play basketball, take a walk, or just chill after work. Right next to that park, there was this long wide street. It was wide enough to fit 4 cars across. When our company first moved there, the area was pretty deserted, so the entire street was practically empty. I always used to park right on that street. But 8 years can really change a lot of things. During my 6th year at the company, the local neighborhood association suddenly put out a notice. They said they were going to paint parking spots all along that street, and from then on, only people who rented a spot were allowed to park there. Anyone else was banned. When I first heard the news, I was completely at a loss. Even if we wanted to rent a spot, the community wouldn't let us. The spots were strictly reserved for local residents. I was just there for work. If I couldn't park there, how was I supposed to get to work? Even though I was super frustrated, as an ordinary person, I had no choice but to suck it up and accept it. From then on, my daily commute turned into a daily hunt for a parking spot. At first, I found a street nearby. It was a bit of a walk to the office, but at least there were no parking signs. So I temporarily started parking my car there. But it wasn't exactly smooth sailing. Since there were a ton of people working in that area, I wasn't the only one hunting for parking every morning. I had to fight other commuters for a spot every single day, which was absolute torture. But the nightmare didn't end there. I had been parking on that new street for a few months when suddenly, one day, I got a text message. It was a parking ticket from the traffic cops, saying I had parked in an illegal spot and was being fined. When I got that text, I was so confused. It was a residential area, not some busy commercial street, and there weren't any no parking signs where I parked. How could I get a ticket? I found out later that the neighborhood community thought our cars were ruining the look of their street, so they just called the cops on us to come and write tickets. Eventually, I was out of options. Since I couldn't park there, I had to start parking in the narrow residential alleys. They weren't main roads, so I figured there's no way I'd get a ticket here, right? Well, it turns out I was way too naive. Even though the cops didn't ticket me, Mother Nature definitely punished me. In those residential alleys, most homeowners wouldn't let you park next to their houses. The only spots left were near public spaces, covered by huge trees. And most of the trees around there were mango trees. In the spring, they'd bloom, and my car would be covered in falling flowers that would get stuck in every single crack and crevice of the car. In the summer, they'd bear fruit, and random mangoes would just drop on my car throughout the day. It was a sticky mess. I was constantly having to wash my car, and sometimes the mango sap was so sticky that after baking in the sun, it was practically impossible to scrub off. I put up with all of that. I figured if I just roughed it out, eventually I'd get through it. But plot twist, 2 years later, I got laid off from the company. And just like that, my daily struggle of finding a parking spot came to a complete and permanent end. Looking back on it now, I spent every single day stressing out over where I was going to park the next morning. So after work, I would often drive around the neighborhood, trying to scout out a better spot. But as it turns out, life had other plans. All those thoughts and plans I had back then ultimately ended up being completely useless. So later on, I started thinking, maybe there's really no need to stress out so much about the future. After all, you never know which will come first, tomorrow or the unexpected. That's all for today's little story. Thanks so much for tuning in and listening. I'm Ping, a new YouTuber, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.